whole point, the issue of poverty line, the way it has been trivialized by doing, there was this IIM Bangalore graduate student who goes in a slum, lives alone, and claims that, well, within 30 rupees is what he gets. That's fair enough. That's what he will get anyway. The whole design of the day, the first time the poverty line was derived, it was always meant for a family or household of an average 5 persons. And that's how it was put as something like 100 rupees per month.
Yeah,
Piece of it. Now, there are a lot of economies of scale and everything that are, let me complete, that are given there. Two, education and health. It's mentioned, it has been there. That is, if there is any change in the Tandoorkar committee that I am coming to a little later, this was supposed to be state responsibility. Now, through RTE, you have right to education, and that is not working. Now, either withdraw the right of education and make it education completely private, and then that can be added, look, this is the expenditure that household requires for educating their children. And the same thing goes with health. Yes, it has privatized, education and health both. Yesterday, last evening, we were talking about exactly the same thing, that the way it has got privatized is like nobody's business. But still the government is spending a huge lot of amount subsidizing this, which doesn't reach to the poor. This was point one. So the definition of poverty line is not per person per day to be taken that literally. It is for a household, for a month, where a whole lot of these economies of scale and other issues are involved. Two, as far as the Tandoorkar committee's validation committee is concerned, the moment they say that they are taking this poverty line, implicitly they have assumed that that was a poverty line that was based on. They do write that, well, we are moving away from calorific norm, but just 2 pages later, they very well provide a section which says that we have cross-validated the same poverty line with the calorific norm, and it seems now okay. So I don't see that.
Okay for me.
And in
It's
fact,
okay for them, actually fine.
at this stage, what we are basically, where we are 75% of the population doesn't have access to food. Now the issue is that if the requirement of food for something like bottom 20% is where it is being met right now as per whatever the resources they have, therefore let's get on with that first and then start looking into other issues. In fact, the poverty or the kind of outcomes that we have, malnourishment, etc., is not only because they don't have access to food. So it has much more to do with the, what we call preventive steps. For example, supply of potable water. How many households in this country have the potable water, access to potable water which can be used for drinking without treatment? That is the state responsibility, and the state should actually start spending and investing huge lot of amount providing this as well as sanitation. This is what has brought about the change in the malnourishment world over, and that's how it's going to come in a place like India as well. Then starts the second part, that what is the proportion which is below, say, $2 or $5 or $4, there is no limit to that. We can talk about it. At the moment you start comparing with Europe and America, where the poverty line is $22,000 as you said, or $2,000 as you said, that is something that needs to be looked into in phase 2. In phase 1, where we have absolute poverty line, in fact most of the developing countries, the way they haven't moved away from the absolute poverty line. Second part is, well, now we are getting into a stage where we have that kind of growth, where we have that kind of resources available, and therefore we can start thinking in terms of what we call the relative poverty line. Thank you.
One clarification, when you say that, when RTI has been implemented, do you think that now there is no expenditure on education, even after the implementation of RTI?
Yeah, that's where the government provision for primary and middle education, or the basic education, has miserably failed.
Even if I accept this argument that the RTI is there, even then, there are other kind of expenditure when you are to send a child to the school, even if there is no fee, if there is a midday meal, there are other 2 meals also. You need, that clothing, you need other things,
Yeah.
medicine.
Well,
everything.
that is a part of the household
So
expenditure.
that is what I think, Professor, they have mentioned in regard to.
like I
I
agree
know
with
that.
it. Like I'm not talking about America and so on. I just mentioned actual taxes like that. But this actual property, what is defined? And I mean explain this to the people. That 31 rupee, I mean you can have combined with the family.
Oh, you can survive with that.
5,000 rupees and so you can.
Single.
But then tell us actually that how a family of 5, I mean even this right to education, I mean does actually that kid not require milk, does it not require a dress and things like that, actually does not require transport. I mean when you call a person non-poor, 5,000 rupees, 1 plus 1, you call it non-poor. Then please demonstrate somehow to the people that in Delhi one day, this is and this is what we are meaning by.
Well, in fact, if you are talking about Delhi and Bombay, I would consider more the
No,
situation.
Let me ask
there.
another question, or related question basically. Now there is a confusion basically. Huh? I am not asking, I am just basically reacting to this thing. Because now I see there is a confusion basically as far as the poverty is concerned. The people who are making it do, these people now how they survive. You can find out. This is the actual data which has been basically has been by the NSS and it has been calculated. Right. There are people. You can take it certain. And how they are surviving, you can go and find it out also. Okay, so there is no question. The other question is more relevant that our poverty line should be above that. That is a question which is different than that. But this poverty line and these people, they do exist because this is a real data. Okay, so that should be clear to everybody. So making it a more sort of a sentimental sort of, it doesn't help.
Nobody is writing that.
No, and then you see that you can go up to any level. If you go up, then the poverty will increase. If you go down, the poverty will decline. But the cut off line is there. People are there who
You
are
have to
now.
defend the line. You have to defend the line in front of nation. Everybody is watching this debate.
No, then
Not actually
no,
that
you
you
basically
do
no.
these calculations.
You made an basically saying the other day the Montague was there, but the Montague is the one who has done a fundamental work on the poverty. His papers has been over there,
But nobody-
and that's why because when the NSF collects data and you have these people now existing over there in our country. So what sort of an
Economists
so
will start
if you are
talking-
if
start
you
talking
are
about
concerned, no, that's all
committee,
right,
that
but they are
price
there.
adjustment and so
But
they start talking
Dr. Sharma,
language actually.
even जो NSS ਦਾ ਡਾਟੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ differ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ.
But
No,
tell us-
no,
tell
go
us-
by the
No,
NSS
no, no.
data.
What I am saying is very
Rupees
simple.
5,001.
You can basically see, you can
And
take the
how-
line.
That's what this is exactly the answer I gave you earlier. You are trivializing it.
Yeah.
So 5,001 is, can anybody guarantee here whatever the measurement is taking place and on the basis of which this 5,000 is coming, this exact measurement? Answer is no.
I have only one question. That is there.
Now you bring in measurement question. So,
That's it. It is a measurement. You are raising measurement questions. The answer would be
This debate
measurement.
is
sir.
public debate. This debate is public debate now. I mean, people are debating on TV every day. Tell us actually, somebody should tell us.
We want to know only one thing. That when the affidavit was filed in Supreme Court on the basis of this committee, why that was withdrawn? This is one. It means that the government was itself not able to defend itself.
Yeah, and they change it. Yeah.
Why? Then what was the requirement to constitute another committee? If you defend it, this is another. Secondly, this is the appropriate time to mislead the people on the basis of the same assessment. On the basis of the same committee, the government has not defended its committee in the Supreme Court, withdraw the affidavit, then again come with the same committee, now the poverty has declined. This is the position of the state central government.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said. As of today, we don't have a poverty line, and
You see,
some of this
there's a line
becomes
because
this is the
No, there's a line.
This is
No,
the
you have come out with the line.
The whole problem is
Whose line is it?
the whole problem is
and the committee line is
they have
the
left it
committee line
up
has been
to
not
our
withdrawn.
state.
In that sense, it has been withdrawn actually.
22% is the line. 22% line wali jo committee.
No, that is the Tendulkar committee line, but they have a
new.
new.
No, Tendulkar ji died.
When they'll be defining BPL families, APL families, they must be following some line. How can
That's
they-
sir.
Defining the BPL family is a completely different business.
Ussa Patnaik has defined very beautifully this, issue. He said that it's the same thing last year your percentage, pass percentage was 50%, okay, and you say that the performance was lower, and next year you reduce the pass percentage from 50 to 40,
And you say
and
now-
you say that now we have improved, our result has improved.
Okay.
See, economists, why do they always go negatively in the sense of depreciation index? Why not capability index? Capital? Capability index. Why negative? Why define poverty or immiserization or marginalization in a negative term?
The reason is very simple, because you want to talk about the marginalized people.
No,
If
no,
you
no.
want to talk about the marginalized people, then you must come out
No, no,
why they are marginalized.
Levels of capability, no?
You know, that's it. That's a second
That
question.
will come later.
You
That
know,
will come
that's a
later.
second question. First
That will come
question is,
later.
first
Sometime
question is to
later.
identify those who are marginalized.
Okay.
And then you find out, what are their capabilities.
You have answer to everything.
Yeah.
One thing which I raising to this,
This poverty line is just keep the body and soul together.
Yeah.
देखो
बात पहुंच गई
मनी यार निकाल यही है
What
is that?
बहुत जोर देके क्या कि मतलब डेमोक्रेसी इतनी बड़ी तकड़ी हो गई है मैं कहना कि इट्स स्टेट which has become stronger not democracy
यार ये क्या ना
without people
टुकड़ी देना को मुर्गी को केड़ा अंडे अंडे वाली गल बनी कि स्टेट फैमिली
नहीं
वो तो कोई साइड पे
You वैसे who will take the benefit as per your finding?
वो तो कोई फायदा नहीं काम की गल करी है
I thought we'll have
स्टैंडर्ड आंसर वाज
discussion on food security. Right down to be a discussion on the methodology of poverty. Although very lively discussion, of course, this is required. And these are two interesting
where else you get the
activities.
opportunity to listen to such
And then Professor Upadhyay they adequately defined the actual number of people who are much larger than what they are saying. Of course, there is a dichotomy. Government wants us to believe that only 22% are poor. Also wants us to believe that 70% or 75% require food subsidy and therefore they need food security. Some contradiction of
Contradiction तो ये अपनी है।
Indirectly admitting that 70% are poor.
And then also, as you mentioned, withdrawing from the social sectors, but want to support 70%. From the operational part, we couldn't discuss much as far as the food security bill is concerned, except Professor Bartola's intervention.
But you didn't give me, I mean, I didn't take proper time. I have so many
Only
slides.
the international seminar रखा है ना next
That was
month.
only a try. I never knew that no one else will speak on that. I thought people will speak on it.
I did the study for NCR FAO where
Had I known, I would have given you much longer time.
It's a detailed work on, each and every intervention at the macro level and each and every intervention at the state level and in other countries on how we operationalize this whole issue because now it's there. We cannot really back out. Food security bill is there. Whether we like it or not, we have to accept it. Then comes the next issue. So it's a very detailed study. And the issue was that FAO had, it's something very internal matter. FAO had this thing in mind that they pressurized the government to follow cash transfers. But our ministry...
Are they going to go for cash transfers?
No. They had in mind that they'll pressurize World Bank and FAO. They had in mind that they'll pressurize the government to go in
Go
for
in for
cash
cash
transfer.
transfer.
Because there is a set of lobby who says food stamps are better. There is a set of lobby who says cash transfer is better. But finally, ministry going with the general approach of the people, they were firming more about the revamping of PDS. So in that light, government didn't really agree to FAO for cash transfer. Government didn't really agree to World Bank for food stamps and many other market-oriented approach which many people had. So they are more into revamping of PDS because it's again a political economy and they had to go in for votes. So
I personally would welcome this.
Yeah.
They have agreed for
So now each and every state
but
has
then
to
of course
decide.
we face a whole lot of problems.
Each and every state has
Not
to
only
decide.
as Mahajanji said that without agriculture, government after all, where from the food grain will come? You can't depend on imports and
So they were more interested in finding out what should be the optimal stock of grain that is required, which nobody has estimated except in Bangladesh this requirement. We say 20 million tons should be kept for emergencies, but we have no idea how this 20 million tons is being estimated.
5 million ton is required to operationalize this.
And 60 million ton, 20 plus 40, 20 has to be kept for emergencies.
Buffer stock.
Buffer
Buffer
stock.
stock.
And then operational stock is 40 million ton, which we need to take. So total requirement is between 60 to 70 million
And
ton.
what's
which
the
we need.
highest procurement we have ever done so?
62 million ton, which is done recently, and storage capacity is only 55 million ton, and rest is I think in Punjab it's open, which rocks and
20 million tons carry on stock and
The
wait for 5 million
serious
tons
part
on
is
average
that
for 4 years.
there is not even a
See,
single
if you have
survey.
stock,
Yeah.
opening stock of 20 million tons, you can carry on 5 million tons every year.
Yeah, that is
carrying
what
on
is
stock.
required to be estimated. Only
Yeah.
Bangladesh has done it, and in our country nobody has done. And the other thing is national food security bills. Like it takes into account many things, but it doesn't really talk about nutrition, calories and all, which will happen. So it's silent on those things, and it's
They talk on the nutrition schemes, na, basically,
Schemes,
you know,
but
this
scheme, how to operationalize
midday meal
those
schemes
schemes.
and the other thing, no, they are going
that
to
is
explain
again,
that.
so if
So that is the only part they talk,
so they
not the
want,
other one.
I mean, if somebody has interest, they want, estimates on how much is for PDS, how much is for women, how
Yeah.
much is for, they want proper costing and, stocking of
that's it.
each and everything at the macro level, and of course then states has to decide how to operationalize each and everything as far as distribution is concerned. It's a very, tedious task.
Very tedious
It's very
task,
difficult,
task which cannot be carried out there.
which is very difficult.
As we want the state to carry out this task, most of us, but still we are apprehensive that it appears beyond the administrative competence.
Yeah.
No, even if the loss is of the order of 10%, the food grains everywhere, so put it against the gains which we get from.
Gain is
They cannot
78
say
rupees
loss
per
of
month per family.
How much?
The saving which we have estimated, that is only 78 rupees. Earlier estimate shows 2 rupees in 93 and 97 में 4 rupees per capita per month saving, which people are. But now the latest estimate is 78 rupees, which I have done it in a very
For
rough-
BPL families,
No, that's what I'm saying, it's aggregate.
aggregate, all.
Right now, only 35% of the population approach PDS. So now the latest NSS data shows that it has gone up.
35 probably BPL and after APL is
I'm not sure, but
APL is
latest data
also. So in
shows
percentage not changing.
that
It's same
access to
65%.
PDS has
people
increased.
are covered in PDS right now. BPL and APL, so they are combined.
It's
Not very big cost.
bigger. It's the significant increase in share of PDS buys in total purchase for all categories. Rice consumption went up from 13 to 23% in rural
ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ
areas.
ਸਾਹਿਬ ਉਹ ਪੁਰਾਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ
Yeah.
ਡੀਪੂ ਵਾਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਲਿਕੁਇਡੇਟਿਵ ਜੌਬ ਬਣ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਡੀਪੂ ਹੋਲਡਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਪੀਡੀਐਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡੀਪੂ
ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹ people
ਹੋਲਡਰ
say
ਯੂਜ਼
that-
ਟੂ ਬੀ ਵਨ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਵੈਰੀ ਲਿਕੁਇਡੇਟਿਵ ਸort of thing and even
Political recruitment in Punjab.
the scheme in Punjab, it might not have reached the poorest of the poor, but it definitely goes to the houses of the sponges and the well-off.
Why blame only the tailors? These
Yeah,
people.
that is it, I don't
Many
understand.
economists, they have got their poverty removed by writing on poverty.
ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ it was expected but came little late.
Government is headed by.
Gyan saving actually left. Gyan saving left.
But if you take into consideration the estimates of leakages from the PDS scheme given by NSSO survey, Department of Food and Public Distribution, they have published. That is offtake under PDS was rice plus wheat. It was in 2004-5 it was 29.4 million tons. Whereas the PDS food consumed by the population according to NSSO was 13.2 million tons. And leakages was 54.1%.
I think.
And in 2009-10, it was 42.4 offtake and 25.3 as you can say PDS food consumed by the population. So it was 40.4% leakages.
These are
Now,
leakages.
the state
The leakages,
Leakages.
Leakages.
So Now the issue is we need to find out at the state level how much improvement has been done in
Yeah,
the
do we,
states.
do we have some reliable figures?
Basically, no, the bill, basically, no, there are two objections by Sharad Pawar, no, which are very serious.
Except NSS.
And he said he is going to
There are
approach.
few studies that have been
Yes,
done by NCR.
Sharad
These are,
Pawar,
big
he is publicly
surveys.
come out,
And
he
they come out
said,
with
one is the
postcards.
prices to the
It's
farmer,
published by
what happened
Academic
to them?
Foundation.
Are they
They
going
have
to allow me
some
to increase
numbers.
that?
They
That is
did
one
a
thing
survey
which is
on
policy
6
question and
states.
very important.
So 16
Second thing is import of grains for this scheme, for this bill. Grains, no, because this is going to be shortfall if you go by that.
It
No,
requires
soon
big
there is a
survey.
shortfall and you have to import the grains. So from where the money is going to come? He said answer my question and then I will be with you.
In the case of food grains, the situation is
Yeah.
like this. There are only 4 or 5 big traders in the case of almost every agricultural commodity. Whenever there is shortage, our press carries the news, India is going to face this shortage and they will raise the price.
Yes.
See what happened in 2007-8 when prices of food grains started increasing, then all of a sudden most of the countries they stopped exports. Although we had surplus, we also stopped export. Therefore, I feel appeal to the people, to the concerned governments, please don't stop this export. This is going to disturb a kind of balance which has been created by the market forces.
And they station their ships in high seas and create artificial
Yeah, they do.
But that's a,
See, trade is not a simple thing. International trade is full of intricacies.
That's a Sharad Yadav, जिस दिन onion the price increase हुई है, he was saying it will affect our reputation at the international level. We will not stop the exports. ਜਿਹੜੇ onion ਦੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਐਕਸਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਸ਼ੂਟ ਅਪ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਮੋਡਿਟੀਜ਼ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਸੋ ਹੀ ਸੈਡ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਆਰ ਨਾਟ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਟੂ ਪੁੱਟ ਬੈਨ ਔਨ ਦਾ
onions and yellow, if you take a data for monthly data for last 10 years.
ਤੇ poverty line ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਇਕੱਲੀ onion ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ
So can't government look at those cyclical movements of price and availability of the crop?
But isn't there a possibility, जैसे Australian
You need
wheat
now
model,
that much money,
yes,
the
some
poverty
cannot
line
even
है
eye on
एक
how
किलो
their
प्याज की
food stock, food grain is behaving. And there are considerable asymmetries which are also due to these, exporters, 4 or 5 exporters, they align with politicians and considerable
will do it.
asymmetries are there.
That is their
So,
job.
if you see the data prices, suddenly you'll see that some market power, some asymmetric price transmission is there.
Shall we say that while we agree on that some kind of food security has to be provided, but we are very apprehensive about its implementation,
Yeah, that's it.
how it can be implemented. And also, not only these academic exercises, of course, are required and will continue how poverty is measured and how it should be measured, and whether you have that 2,400 calories and 2,100 calories norm, and then have a set of, say, series of poor, that poor according to this criteria, poor according to that criteria, and so on. So those are academic exercises. But then, of course, I think the state is going ahead with the food security bill without actually being prepared for that. Maybe because the elections are around the corner.
Yeah, that's right. That is the only reason.
But otherwise, at the moment, they are not actually prepared to carry it out. How states will respond, states.
Yeah, it's a decentralized system now.
Parties.
There are other parties ruling in different states. Political decentralization has
Already
come
in
automatically.
Punjab, also 30 lakh families are included in this Atta Bank,
Yes.
which
See,
comes
the
to roughly.
total cost is going to be 20 crores for pulses
The
alone.
poverty figure is around.
Pulses alone, it's going to be 20 crores per
And
month.
yet it is Atta Bank, more than half the Punjabi population.
33% families are in.
33 lakh.
33%. 40, there are 39 lakh families in Punjab and 14 lakh are included in that.
40 lakh families.
And what were the political consequences in the last election? When we asked this question to them, they said 80% of the people had heard about this scheme and 70% of them got benefit of that scheme. So they heard about the scheme, they were beneficial of that scheme and they voted
to the
in lieu of that.
And we want to be a copy of
So there was link in politics in the whole.
government have it in mind that if Badal can come back on the Atta Dal scheme, why can't we come?
Yeah.
Secondly, Manrega is a set example.
If the Manrega has not
Yeah.
been finalized,
That helped them in the last election.
If for the last 50 years,
Identification भी सारा
for the last 50
government
years, okay, if the last 50 years, the government of India is not able, that is very efficient government, is not able to analyze the methodology to determine poverty. Whose fault is? It is whose fault? Who are suffering? And again we are discussing. And when there are elections, the state government decide immediately, the political party, that we will give these freebies. And it is the contribution of the local parties, regional parties, that now the center is coming to the same point.
65%.
That to give food security. Otherwise, the people are voting on what ground? They need food, and you are supplying in Tamil Nadu at 1 rupee and in Punjab. So the regional parties compare the national parties. Regional parties compare the national parties to come to the same agenda.
Yes, even in
No,
case
so
of
there is
education.
no honesty or sincerity by doing this of UPA. They are doing only that now the election is at the cost. For the last 10 years, you are not doing anything. You have destroyed the PDS system deliberately.
But nobody is in a
Now you
position
are
to
going
oppose
to
it.
create a
Maybe not.
PDS system.
Nobody is there to oppose it.
So when it
Abolishing
two things, these two issues are related.
Farmer pressure they have to retain it, now they want to hand over the entire task to FCI.
And then political parties are not charitable organizations, they are meant to capture power, whatever the means are.
When
Basically, it's the people post them to decide the agenda.
Pricing part
Only problem is that part is
should be part of this bill,
people
otherwise it will
pressure
not
from
come.
political party to decide the
They are
agenda.
very, very.
ध्यान रहे ਜਦੋਂ
That is missing.
10 ਕਿਲੋ ਆਟੇ ਦੀ ਦਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪਵਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਲਹਿਰ ਦਾ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ
Cutting
ਉਹ
across party
When
line.
there are elections, then that is universal. You are distributing cookie, feed to everybody, then giving liquor to everybody. Universal PDS.
that's a universal
When the